So I'm trying to realign this program and find out exactly who relieved who. As a matter of fact, I didn't go to Memphis this last month to the Navy Musicians Association because I was supposed to go over and go through some files and stuff. But my schedule just went out of the window and I couldn't make it. Can't be in more than one place at a time.
Well,
I might be learning that now.
I had followed Mike Pace's for a long time, and I'm really thinking that Mike was the warrant officer out there before he came to the Naval Academy in San Diego, but I think maybe he had gone back. So he wasn't even, when I got out there, the leader had already left, and I don't, it's terrible, I knew it at one time who it was, just I can't remember who the head of the bureau was when I...
Okay, well, I won't shoot you.
Clee Owens. Clee Owens.
Okay.
Clee Owens was the head of the bureau. I went up, and Al Beck was there. I went up, they said, come on up, talk to us about this, and they said, we want you to come to the bureau. That's how it all started. I was at the academy. I said, great, go up there. Remember walking into this place, this little room with file cabinets every which way, and I'm thinking, this is the bureau? You know, I'm looking, this can't be the bureau, right? I mean, and you walk in, Tom Metcalf was sitting here, Joe Arthur was over there, and I go around behind the back, and there are two of them, their desks are like this, back in the corner, and I'm thinking, this is the bureau. So sat down and talking, and and Cleve was telling me, you want to be an officer, yeah, you might change your mind, blah blah blah. So go home and think about if you want to come to the bureau or not. And I'll give you a week or so, 2 weeks, and call me back. Okay, great. So I go back to the band, and I'm doing my thing. So I call him up. I had watch, we had the watch in the the office there. And so I called him up and said, Commander, I said I thought about what you said, and I decided I really want to come to the bureau, work for you. He said, well, he set aside, we're not going to send you to the bureau. And I said, okay. I said, where am I going to go? He said, you're going to go to 6th Fleet. What do you think about that? And of course, I said, great, And he was like, kind of taken back from it. It was like he said, okay. And I said, when do you want me to go? And he said, well, I'll have to get a few things together. And he said, do you have any other questions? I said, you're certainly one. And he said, what's that? I said, where's 6th Fleet? Shows you, I didn't know anything. And he goes, Gaeta, Italy. Oh, thank you. And I hang up, right? And I'm sitting there in the office. Nobody's there. I'm all by myself. I'm sitting there. What did I just do? I always laughed about that. But it was the best thing for me is to go out there and and get my feet wet, literally, and do my thing. So just a lot of people that and you look back who pointed you in the right direction, even though you didn't know it was the right direction at the time.
When you look at this program, and I see a picture that none of you guys see, and yet we all see pretty much the same thing. It's just absolutely amazing. I want to go back here for a moment. McDonald Hall. Okay, when Ralph leave down to school, I was telling him at the reception, I said, everybody leaves a mark someplace. And I said, look, put this in the back of your cap there someplace. McDonald Hall is great, and all of the things we know about it, those things are all very, very true. When I says, you talk to Navy people now and in Navy music, and nobody mentions Jim Thurman, because that's where it started. And that's another reason that I wanted Tony here, okay? Because not far from here is where the school started. And it was Jim Thurman that was selected by Benter to start the school. And what was done across the river by the time it moved over there was no less than phenomenal. And I may have mentioned this somewhere along the line. When I look at the programs down the school, and it lists all the commanding officers, and then there's this little note up in the corner there before it says, before the school was here, there were a couple of blah, 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 and it says, and that ain't right. That's not the case. So a part of this whole archive experience, and hopefully to get a museum one day, is to correct all of that. So what I said to Ralph down there was, Ralph, did I get that right? Down at the school, yeah, Rangel, was I said, where the offices are, if sometime before you leave here, if you could get that part of the school called uh, uh, the Jim Thurman Wing or something like
Right.
this, you would really make an awful lot of people rest easy, because that cat paid a lot of dues, man. And I came in the Navy when he was still at the school.
Yeah, my dad.
Well,
talked
I
about
can
him.
give you a very interesting story. I met Thurman through the ABA.
Okay.
He
Right.
kind of welcomed me into the ABA
Right.
when I was leader of the Navy band.
Right.
First time, and I always found him to be a tremendous gentleman. They always talked about him being such a taskmaster, and maybe he was.
Oh, he was. Trust
But he
me.
was still a true gentleman, and
Yes.
there's no question what he did for
Yes.
Navy music. Right before I retired from the Navy, I got a letter from him, and I think I told you about this, because didn't you play for his funeral, to take the band for Jim Thurman's funeral?
Yeah.
Would that have been John? Would you?
What year was that?
Well, I don't know how long, but I mean,
I've lost the
he
year.
would send me a letter, and he says, you know, he says, it's time in my life when I need to start thinking about
Right.
planning for at the end. I mean, that's about the way he put it. You know?
Mhm.
He says, what I want you to, if you could, he says, I'd really appreciate if you'd promise me this, that when I do die, I'm going to be interred at Arlington.
Mhm.
He says, I want the Navy band to play for it.
Right.
And I wrote him back, because I promise you that will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Right.
passed that letter
I can't
along.
remember- I can't remember now when it was.
But I think it was during your time.
Yeah.
That when Dr. Thurman died.
Yeah. Somewhere along the line, we need to have that name recognized, because, yeah, he was a taskmaster. I remember sitting under him with those John L. Lewis eyebrows at the old auditorium over there. And when his stick came down, things happened.
Yeah.
Things definitely happened. He left while I was a basic student. And, yeah, great man. I got to know him very well, as a matter of fact. But I never got him on camera.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. But anyway, we have run a pretty good length of time here, and this has been a neat session. I need you guys to pull back together again, or I need to back up some or something, just so I can see everybody together. And I can't tell you how
Just where we
much.
wave.
just make sure all of your fingers are up.
Don't worry.
No, I appreciate this more than you can ever realize. And for folks that come along in Navy music long after we're gone, are going to be able to look back and think about some things. And you have been a very definite place in this whole setting, and I appreciate it, and I thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.